At the same time, President Trump confirmed that the tariffs announced last week against our auto industry will come in, and indeed have come into effect today. Three different sets of U.S. tariffs remain in place and will continue to pose significant threats to Canadian workers and Canadian businesses. So while it's progress that further tariffs were not imposed on Canada yesterday, the President's actions will reverberate here in Canada and across the world.
Ever wonder what happens when a country known for saying sorry stops apologizing? As Trump slapped tariffs on Canadian cars, something unexpected happened. Canada didn't roll over. Instead, they launched an economic counterattack so effective it's being copied worldwide. The numbers are shocking. Canadian tourism to the US has dropped like a rock, with some regions seeing an 85% decrease. Meanwhile, the Buy Canadian movement could pump billions into Canada's economy. Trump thought he was punishing Canada, but he accidentally created a Canadian pride parade that's costing America big time. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Local businesses across Canada aren't just talking about boycotting American products, they're actually doing it.
You see the numbers are so disproportionate, they're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart? And that'll be on other countries to help
Millions of Canadians. We're going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures.
Subsidize a lot of countries and keep them going and keep them in business. In the case of Mexico, it's $300 billion a year. In the case of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year.
We are going to protect our workers, and we are going to build the strongest economy in the G7.
Take Graham Palmatier, who runs Graham's Pizza in Toronto. This guy looked at his supply chain and said, nope, not gonna fund Trump's America anymore. He yanked every single American product from his restaurant faster than Trump changes his story about, well, anything. And he's not alone in this pizza rebellion. Business owners all over Canada are checking labels and choosing maple leaves over stars and stripes. Even government liquor stores in Ontario, you know, where Canadians get their booze, have pulled American products right off their shelves. Imagine walking into your favorite liquor store and seeing empty spaces where Jack Daniels and Jim Beam used to sit. That's the kind of statement that hits harder than Trump's Twitter tantrums. Canadian whiskey was always better anyway, eh?
Yesterday marked the latest in President Trump's unprecedented series of U.S. tariffs that are designed to reshape the international trading system. We received confirmation that the latest reciprocal tariffs will not be imposed on Canada. The ambition of these measures is enormous. The effects on the global economy will be monumental.
The boycott movement has spread faster than gossip in a small town. What started as angry Canadians typing furious tweets has transformed into a nationwide economic action with teeth. Canadian businesses aren't just removing American products, they're actively seeking out domestic alternatives and promoting them to customers. The shelves that once held American cereals, condiments, and canned goods are now proudly displaying Canadian-made options, often with little maple leaf flags to highlight their patriotic pedigree. This isn't just happening in big cities either. From Victoria to St. John's, even the tiniest shops are checking where their products come from. And the best part, customers are demanding it. They're actually reading labels now, something that probably has marketing executives across America sweating through their Brooks Brothers suits.
Have been imposed under different premises. Some things are consistent. They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided. That's 3,600 workers who are now out of work, not by their choice. Workers who now worry how they're going to put food on the table and pay their bills. Just last evening, workers from Unifor Local 444, with whom I met last week, learned that their auto assembly plant in Windsor will be shutting down for at least the next 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, the Canadian government is playing it smart with programs like the Canada Strong Pass. This genius move gives kids and teens under 18 free entrance to national museums and galleries. But wait, there's more. These lucky youngsters also get free seats on trains when traveling with their parents. It's like Canada is saying to families, why cross the border when we've got all this cool stuff right here? The program is also working with provinces to expand these benefits, making domestic travel even more attractive. This isn't just about saving a few loonies, it's about keeping Canadian dollars circulating in the Canadian economy instead of flowing south. Every dollar spent at a Canadian attraction or on a Canadian train is a dollar that's not funding America's bizarre political circus. It's economic resistance wrapped in family-friendly packaging, something Trump wouldn't recognize if it bit him on his spray tan behind. What's really interesting is watching regular Canadians embrace this new patriotic travel trend. Instead of heading to Florida or California, they're discovering their own backyard. Traffic to the Made in Canada online directory has gone through the roof as people search for domestic alternatives to everything they used to buy from America. Canadians are suddenly realizing they've got spectacular landscapes from coast to coast that don't require an awkward border crossing or supporting an economy led by Orange 45. The economic impact is starting to show. American tourism regions that depend on Canadian visitors are feeling the pain. Border towns that used to count on Canadian shoppers are seeing empty parking lots. American hotels are missing those polite guests from the north who always tip properly and apologize even when it's not their fault. All those billions of dollars that normally flow from Canada to the US are staying put, fueling Canadian businesses instead. Trump probably didn't see this coming. He likely assumed Canadians would just say sorry and keep sending their money south while he imposed tariffs and insulted their leadership. But he forgot one crucial fact: even the nicest people have their limits. Push a Canadian too far and they won't yell or threaten. They'll just quietly take their business elsewhere and tell all their friends to do the same. The financial hit to specific American sectors is becoming impossible to ignore. Tourism operators in places like Maine, Vermont, and Washington State are reporting Canadian visitor declines that would make any business owner lose sleep. Retail stores near the border that depended on Canadian shoppers crossing over for deals are struggling to keep their doors open, all because Trump thought bullying Canada was a good strategy. What started as a Canadian boycott has ballooned into a global movement with serious diplomatic consequences. Trump's bullying tactics backfired spectacularly, igniting unprecedented Canadian patriotism that's actually reshaping their political landscape. Can you believe the ruling Liberal Party has closed a 20-point polling gap just because Trump got cranky? International observers are taking serious notes too. If Trump can disrespect Canadian sovereignty, no country is safe. The odds of a decades-long rupture between these neighbors have skyrocketed in just months. The maple leaf has become a symbol of democratic resistance to authoritarianism. The polite Canadians aren't just saying sorry anymore. They're leading a worldwide movement that has grumpy Trumpy's ego in pieces.